Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how much we love a good deep dive, and today we're diving headfirst into a topic that's hotter than ever. Side hustles.
It's about time, right?
Right, everyone's talking about it. But we wanted to go deeper than just surface-level advice. We're talking real strategies, potential pitfalls, and what's actually working right now in the ever-evolving world of side gigs.
And let me tell you, things are moving fast.
Exactly. So buckle up because we're about to break it all down. And who better to guide us through this jungle of opportunity than our guest expert, who, by the way, lives and breathes this stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say jungle,
Well,
more
yeah,
like a well-manicured garden with a lot of potential for growth.
I like that. Okay, so before we get lost in the weeds, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a side hustle in 2024? We hear the term thrown around a lot, but I feel like it means something different to everyone.
You're right, it's definitely evolved. But at its core, a side hustle is any work you do outside your main job that brings in some extra cash. It's about flexibility, pursuing your passions, and maybe even building something that could become your main gig someday.
I love that. It's not just about the extra money, although that's always nice. It's about having more control over your time, exploring your interests.
Absolutely. And with so many people feeling stuck or unfulfilled in their 9 to 5s, it's no wonder side hustles are booming.
Okay, so let's talk about those booming side hustles.
Mhm.
What are some of the hottest ones out there right now in 2024? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, freelancing is absolutely huge right now, and it's only getting bigger. Platforms like Fiverr and Upwork are like virtual marketplaces for skills.
Yeah.
You've got writers, designers, virtual assistants, social media gurus, you name it. They're finding clients and building businesses all from their laptops.
That's incredible. It's like the traditional job market has been flipped on its head.
It really has. And the beauty of freelancing is that you can start small, build your portfolio, and scale up as you gain experience and confidence.
So it's perfect for someone who's maybe a little hesitant to dive in head first. They can kind of test the waters, see what works.
Exactly. And there's something really empowering about being your own boss, setting your own rates, and choosing projects that excite you.
I can imagine. It's like the ultimate form of career autonomy.
Yeah?
So freelancing is definitely a hot one.
Uh-huh.
What else is sizzling in the side hustle world these days?
E-commerce is on fire right now, and it's not just about selling physical products anymore.
Ooh, tell me more about this. This is right up my alley.
Think digital products. Online courses, ebooks, printables, templates. You create it once, and it can sell thousands of times. Minimal overhead, maximum profit potential. Then there's still the more traditional route, like selling handmade goods on Etsy or launching a full-blown online store with Shopify.
Okay, now that is what I'm talking about. Designing a t-shirt in my pajamas and having it shipped directly to a customer. That's the dream, right? It's like having a magic money-making machine powered by creativity.
Exactly. And the best part is, you don't have to be a tech whiz to make it happen. There are platforms and tools that make it incredibly user-friendly, even for beginners.
So we've got freelance empires and digital products flying off the virtual shelves. It's enough to make anyone want to ditch the day job, right?
Well, hold your horses. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement, and don't get me wrong, the potential is huge. But like any business, a successful side hustle requires a bit of planning.
That's a good point. It's not always as simple as passion project turned overnight success. So before our listeners start printing those gone fishing signs, what are some common side hustle pitfalls they should watch out for?
Okay, so picture this. You've got this amazing idea, you're fired up, you're ready to go, but you haven't really thought about the nitty-gritty details. Like, what do you want to achieve with this side hustle? Are you looking for some extra cash, or are you trying to build something you can eventually turn into a full-time gig?
Right. It's like setting off on a road trip without a map, or even deciding on a destination. You might end up somewhere interesting, or you might end up hopelessly lost.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of people stumble. They skip the crucial step of setting clear goals. And I get it, planning isn't always the most glamorous part, but trust me, it's worth it.
So it's not about having this big, complicated business plan from day one. It's more about having a clear vision and, I guess, some milestones along the way.
You got it. It can be as simple as in the next 3 months, I want to land 5 new clients, or I want to launch my online course by the end of the year. Having those targets gives you something concrete to work towards.
That makes total sense. When you can break down those big, audacious goals into smaller, more manageable steps, it feels less overwhelming, and you're more likely to stay motivated. So we've talked about the importance of planning and setting clear goals. What other traps do side hustlers often fall into?
This one's especially common with creatives, but it really applies across the board. Underpricing your work.
Oh, tell me about it. I've seen so many talented people undervalue their skills and time, especially when they're first starting out.
It's almost like they feel guilty charging what they're worth? But here's the thing, when you undercharge, you're not only shortchanging yourself, but you're also sending a message to potential clients that your work isn't that valuable.
It's true. It's like that old saying, you get what you pay for. If someone's offering rock bottom prices, it can sometimes be a red flag like, what are they cutting corners on?
Exactly.
Hmm.
And on the flip side, when you price your products or services strategically, it not only ensures you're being fairly compensated for your time and expertise, but it also positions you as the expert you are. Remember, you're running a business, not a charity.
It's so true. And I think a lot of us, especially when we're passionate about something, we forget that our skills and time are valuable commodities. We can't be afraid to charge what we're worth.
Absolutely. Know your value, own your value, and don't be afraid to communicate that value to your clients. Now, speaking of getting started, I know we've covered a lot of ground here, and it can be a little overwhelming to think about, where to even begin.
Totally. I'm sure some of our listeners are like, okay, this is all great, but I need a step-by-step guide. So for someone who's feeling fired up and ready to explore the world of side hustles, where do they even begin? What's the first concrete step they can take?
It might sound a little counterintuitive, but the most important step happens before you even think about launching a website or ordering business cards.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It all starts with self-reflection. Before you can build a successful side hustle, you need to know yourself right. What are you truly passionate about? What unique skills and experiences do you bring to the table? What are those things you do so effortlessly that people are constantly asking for your help with?
This is where it gets really interesting for me because I think so often we overlook our own talents and passions simply because they come naturally to us. It's like having a superpower you didn't even know you had.
Exactly. Self-awareness is your entrepreneurial superpower. And once you've tapped into that, it's time to put on your detective hat and do a little market research.
Okay, so we've got our self-awareness toolkit. Now we're hitting the streets, or should I say the internet, for intel. What exactly are we looking for here?
This is where you look at what's already working, what gaps exist in the market, and how your unique talents and passions can fill those gaps. Who are your ideal customers? What problems are they facing? What solutions are they already paying for? Answering these questions will give you some really valuable insights for shaping your side hustle idea.
It's like putting together a puzzle, but instead of a picture, you're creating a business that aligns perfectly with your passions and what the market actually wants.
Hmm.
That's pretty powerful stuff. But, even with all the self-awareness and market research in the world, I know starting anything new can feel really overwhelming. So is there one actionable step that our listeners can take, like today, to move from thinking about a side hustle to actually making it happen?
It's funny you should mention that because it actually ties back to something we talked about earlier, Fiverr. Even if you're not sure if freelancing is the long-term goal, creating a profile on a platform like Fiverr can be an incredibly valuable exercise.
Okay, I'm curious about this. How does simply creating a profile help if you're not even planning to, take on any gigs right away?
It forces you to articulate your skills, right? You have to define your target audience. You start to see what kind of services are in demand, what other people are offering, and how you can differentiate yourself. Plus, you get a feel for pricing, competition, the whole nine yards. It's like a free crash course in entrepreneurship.
That's brilliant. It's like dipping your toes in the water before diving in head first. You get to test the temperature, get comfortable with the environment, and you might even land a few gigs and make some money in the process.
Exactly. And the best part is there's no pressure. It's all about exploration and experimentation at this stage.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of side hustles, what final words of wisdom would you leave with our listeners who are ready to embark on their own entrepreneurial adventures?
At the end of the day, every successful entrepreneur started with a single step. The most important thing is to just start, right? Don't be afraid to experiment, to learn as you go, and to pivot when you need to. And remember that self-reflection we talked about earlier. Keep doing that throughout your journey. Your passions and your skills might evolve, and that's okay. Embrace the journey, stay curious, and most importantly, have fun with it.
That's a wrap on another deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this journey into the world of side hustles as much as we have. Remember, the power to create a life you love on your terms is within your grasp. Now go out there and make it happen.